Hello everyone and welcome to September's Warglaive Gothic update. And this has been a fairly productive month, though there were some, I would say, fairly substantial hiccups throughout the scheduling, which has resulted in probably the biggest news with this update. That being that I am now switching up how I work on Warglaive. Right now, prior to this upcoming month of October, my plan has been regularly to just every single day work on Warglaive and every single day make content for YouTube and just fit it all in one day. And it's not a big deal. I can run on a couple hours of sleep. It's not a huge deal, and pushing myself admittedly a little too hard. And I do need to stop that. I'm at a point where even I cannot deny that I'm pushing myself a little hard here, and I need to back it up. I need to go easier on myself. So to facilitate that, the current existing idea is every other day is gonna be a dedicated day to entirely one thing. So for example, Mondays will be a streaming day. Tuesdays, full Warglaive workload and work processing. Then, so on and so forth, just switching off every single day. And hopefully people on the YouTube front on my gaming channel anyway, won't see a gap in uploads, because to them, because I have whole days dedicated to both streaming and recording videos and editing them. Since that whole day is dedicated to that, I can get multiple things done and then schedule several things to be uploaded certain days. There's a lot I can fit in just by dedicating the whole day to one brainchild and one dedicated job I've allocated myself. While the next day I don't have to worry about that, and I could focus on Warglaive, for example. So that's the intended schedule going forward, is that I will be working on Warglaive fully every other day, and every other day from that will be dedicated to making YouTube content, streaming, doing that more relaxed, fun gaming stuff. But aside from the big schedule change, what got done with Warglaive this month? Well, I got a lot of writing done. I'm still currently trying to organize everything in one lore Bible, because as some of you may know, since you've been paying attention to all of this at the very beginning, a lot of Warglaive's soul right now exists on a lot of really sparsely laid out and terribly organized notes I just took of ideas that came to mind while I first started the project. And it's a really long ass document where there's so much information, so much stuff I just wrote down, and I'm trying to organize it in the hopes of taking what at one point was 700 pages, and maybe I can organize it all down to significantly less than that, maybe 100 pages. I think I could do it, because a lot of the ideas I came up with are really crazy, and they're all still there. Some of the more older concepts are still there in that giant document of ideas. And obviously, I'm only going to derive from that craziness what the actual final ideas and finalizations of my ideas are. And don't worry, I already have everything I need to keep consistent about what is canon and core lore and what's not the crazy ideas. I do have that. I'm just making sure it's all organized properly in a lore Bible. So that's being worked on as well, on top of the first book, which is still being written, about a key character in the lore of the Sovereignty, a female Helsing by the name of Melina. Currently, that is still underway, and I got a pretty decent amount of that done this month. I was actually kind of surprised with myself. There's probably keep in mind, my writing process is I write everything through. I'm not going back and carefully editing every bit of grammar and punctuation and everything until I pretty much wrote the whole book, and then I'm gonna start back over from the beginning and then go through with a fine-tooth comb and fix everything up. So with that as my writing scheme, I guarantee you that as much as I know I got done in terms of actual ideas and pages and the story getting on the page, actually properly putting it together and shaping it together narratively and also fixing up the grammar. I guarantee you, if I were to go look back right now, there'd be a ton of grammar issues. I gotta go back and fix all that on the second wave. I'm still on the first wave of actually writing the whole book out, and then I'll go through and fix it. But I got a lot of writing done both in the terms of organizing the lore Bible properly, and also getting the first book further down the pipeline. Outside of the book and the lore and the novelization, what about the miniatures? What about the the actual physical product we're hoping to get here soon? Well, I got plenty done on that front, but a lot of it was detailed bits for the Helsing models, the Helsing Assault Standard model, which is still not done. I got the helmet done. Correction, no, I don't actually have the helmet done. There's actually one last component I forgot to actually add, and I'm going to do that soon. But that would be the visor part of the design, which is on the forehead, that is currently missing. Other than that, though, the helmet is actually done for the miniature. I got the pointed bracer done. I'm working on the Cross Revenant, which you see some footage here in this video. There's a lot. The thing is, believe it or not, it's actually really hard to do humanoid characters. It's a lot harder to do them than it is to do something like, well, as you guys saw with the previous month's model and miniature being the Tomb Maker for the Gretsch. The Gretsch as a faction are going to be probably the easiest for me to model, I'm not going to lie, because they don't have really armor. They have natural armor, they have natural stuff like that, but they don't really have like armor, pre-designed geometric weapons. They don't have anything like that is hard surface stuff. So I can do pretty much all of them purely in ZBrush. Whereas something like the Helsings, something like the Warborn, something like the Terran Republic, they have a lot of armor, they have a lot of weapons, they have a lot of things with geometric shapes to them and hard surfaces, which is really hard to work with in ZBrush alone, which is the sculpting software I use to sculpt the minis. So to fight that, I'm also using another software called Autodesk Maya, which is a software used in the gaming industry and in the film industry for animation. But I'm not using it for that. I'm using it for modeling the hard surface objects, which I then port into ZBrush and then combine that with the sculpted humanoid mesh of the Helsings, the Warborn, the Terran Republic, and even the Wrath, to a degree, have a lot of armor as well. So hard surface like that weirdly enough takes a lot of time. So the Gretsch are probably going to be the easiest faction to put together and the quickest. But this whole month, I still have not got done the Helsing, one of the base Helsing Assault models, which I really wanted to get done. But unfortunately, I think a lot of that was hindered by the way I was handling my schedule up till now, which is, again, trying to fit workloads of everything into one day, which is just crippling. And I think that affected, actually, like the progress I was making on the work. So hopefully, with this new schedule we got set up, I'll hammer out this next model easily within the month, hopefully. But yeah, as for everything else, I think that more or less sums up the progress. There's no new print prototypes this month, unfortunately. I still have hold on. I still have my favorite little Tomb Maker here. His so sexiness. I still got to make another variant, which that'll probably be real quick. I got to make another variant of the Tomb Maker where it's just the head popping out of the base. But until then, this little devil always giving me kisses. I'm a dork. I know. I'm sorry. I'm cutting that. Anyway, so yeah, I've been making progress. Progress is being done. Don't worry. I'm sorry I have another printed prototype to show off to you guys. I was hoping that could be like every month I have at least one miniature that I could print off, show you guys what it's going to look like, and then as like every month goes by, pretty much the months can represent the build up to actually releasing armies. For at the very least for you guys to print off out there for yourselves. If you have 3D printers, I plan on opening a My Mini Factory thing. For people who want to buy miniatures from me to print off and don't want to print off their own, or don't have the money to buy, don't have the upfront cash to buy a 3D printer, which is understandable, or just don't want to do it again. I bought 2 3D printers, which is a big expense thing. I'm not going to tell you guys how much I spent on that. I don't want any that's the thing. I don't want to oftentimes like, oh, I spent this much. Oh, I spent this much. To me, all the money I spend on Warglaive is worth it to me 100%. I don't think you guys need to know the amount. I appreciate the donations and the generous support that I've gotten from the community up to this point, and I'm very happy to see that people are just as enthused for Warglaive as when I first came up with the idea to now, as I'm in the workflow process of getting it done. I am happy to see that, and it gives me a lot of drive to keep going forward. But point is, I bought two Anycubic mono Anycubic. I'll just read it from here. Anycubic Photon Mono X's, which, and I have two Elegu Mercury Plus, I can't talk today. Two Elegu Mercury Plus wash and cure machines for the process of actually making the miniatures. For those who want to just buy the minis and don't want to print them off at home, I'm gonna open an Etsy account hopefully when actually we're ready to get underway and start getting the miniatures actually shipped out and everything. That way you can just buy them directly from me, and that's why I got the 3D printers. Well, other than that, guys, that is the more or less the full September month of September update for Warglaive Gothic. I can't wait for the October one, which hopefully I'll have more than one miniature just to make up for this month's lack of one printed off to showcase what they'll look like to you guys. Hopefully keep you guys enthused and excited for where everything's going to go. One last thing to update. Actually, I almost forgot this. Obviously, the other major thing that happened during this month, which hopefully makes up for some of the lack of miniature printing, is I got some sound. I've been working on the soundtrack for Warglaive Gothic's factions. Now, the reason I'm doing this is not only that way, like when I do videos, hopefully in the future, doing like lore-specific conversations about each particular faction. I can have a unique background music to kind of represent and kind of add like an auditory representation of those factions. But also, I've thought, like, in the future, if this ever gets turned into a video game, like, hopefully an RTS, I would love for this to be an RTS. I could already have the soundtrack to hand over. It's just like, I hire a studio to make the video game, and I'm like, hey, I already got the soundtrack worked out for you guys. Did it myself. But at the very least, it's also just a good way of like world building to give you guys, again, that auditory vibe and thematic building of each faction. So that's underway as well. Yeah, so to recap, I'm 3D modeling all the minis, I'm writing the lore, and I'm also composing the music. The only thing I'm not doing is the artwork, and that's just solely because there's got to be somewhere I don't have the natural knack to learn it, or the time to learn it at this rate. Thanks again, by the way, to Jacob Jones, also known as Pyrrhus of Epirus, for being the amazing artist that he is, and continuing to make great concept artwork like this, and really help Warglaive come to life, and help give me a place to work from to get miniature bits and stuff like the Cross Revenant rifle for the Sovereignty, or the Helsings themselves get all visualized, so that helps me actually 3D design them. It's been a major boon to everything to have him on board and helping out. Even though he's freelancing, even though everything is by commission, I still appreciate it. And at the end of the day, Warglaive would not be as far along as it is without his help. So I appreciate him greatly, and credits to him in the description below. Links to his social media, as well as to his to places where if you want to commission him for some work, for some artwork, you can find him. But other than that, I think that wraps everything up. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you all are looking forward to the October update as you did look forward to this September one. And yeah, stay grimdark, guys. That was shitty. I gotta find a better outro.